The story of Exodus begins with hardship. The Israelites, God's chosen people, are enslaved in Egypt. They are forced to build cities and work in the fields. The Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, fears their growing numbers. He makes their lives bitter with hard labor. The Israelites cry out to God for help. They long for freedom. The Pharaoh orders all newborn Hebrew boys to be killed. He fears they will grow up to challenge his power. Imagine the fear and despair among the Israelites. Their fate seems uncertain, but God has a plan. He will use a man named Moses to deliver his people. The story of Exodus is about faith and hope. It shows how God can work through ordinary people to do extraordinary things. A woman from the tribe of Levi gives birth to a son. She sees he is a special child. She hides him for 3 months. When she can hide him no longer, she makes a plan. She places him in a basket among the reeds by the riverbank. The Pharaoh's daughter finds the baby. She feels compassion for him. She names him Moses, which means drawn out of water. Moses' sister Miriam watches from a distance. She bravely approaches the Pharaoh's daughter. She offers to find a Hebrew woman to nurse the child. Moses is raised in the Pharaoh's palace. He is educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, but he never forgets his true heritage. God is watching over him, preparing him for a special purpose. Moses grows up in the grand palaces of Egypt, surrounded by luxury and power. Despite his privileged upbringing, he cannot ignore the suffering of his people, the Hebrews, who are enslaved and oppressed. One fateful day he witnesses an Egyptian guard mercilessly beating a Hebrew slave. Anger and a sense of justice surge within him, and he cannot stand by idly. In a moment of rage, he kills the Egyptian and hastily buries the body in the sand, hoping to hide his deed. The very next day, he comes across 2 Hebrews fighting with each other. He tries to intervene and stop the fight, but they reject his help, questioning his authority. Realizing that his crime is known, Moses is gripped by fear and decides to flee Egypt to save his life. Constantly looking over his shoulder, he fears retribution from the Pharaoh. He embarks on a long and arduous journey through the wilderness, eventually reaching the land of Midian. In Midian, he finds solace and starts a new life, marrying a woman named Zipporah. He becomes a shepherd, tending to the flocks of his father-in-law Jethro. 40 years pass in this quiet pastoral life. Far from the grandeur of Egypt, Moses lives a humble and peaceful life, content with his new identity. One day, while tending his sheep, Moses has a mystical encounter that changes his life forever. He sees a bush that is engulfed in flames, yet miraculously, it is not consumed by the fire. The sight is both awe-inspiring and terrifying, drawing Moses closer to investigate. From within the burning bush, the voice of God speaks to Moses, delivering a divine message. God commands him to return to Egypt, the land he fled from, with a mission to free the Israelites from slavery. With newfound purpose and determination, Moses prepares to lead his people out of bondage and into freedom. Section 4, Plagues upon Egypt. Moses is afraid. He feels the weight of his mission pressing down on him. He doubts his ability to lead. The enormity of the task ahead makes him question his own strength and resolve. But God promises to be with him. This divine assurance fills Moses with a renewed sense of purpose and courage. God gives Moses signs to show Pharaoh. These miraculous signs are meant to demonstrate God's power and authority. These signs will prove that he is sent by God. They are undeniable evidence of the divine mission Moses carries. Moses returns to Egypt with his brother Aaron. They stand before Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, with unwavering determination. They demand that he let the Israelites go. Pharaoh refuses. He hardens his heart, unwilling to release the Israelites from bondage. God sends 10 plagues upon Egypt. Each plague is a powerful demonstration of God's wrath and judgment. Each plague is a judgment against Pharaoh's defiance. Despite the suffering, Pharaoh remains obstinate. The Nile River turns to blood. This vital water source becomes a symbol of death and destruction. Frogs, lice, and flies swarm the land. Pestilence kills the livestock. Boils afflict the Egyptians, causing immense pain and suffering. Hail and fire rain down from the sky. Locusts devour the crops. Darkness covers the land, plunging Egypt into a state of despair. The 10th plague is the most devastating. It strikes fear into the hearts of all Egyptians. The firstborn of every Egyptian household dies. This final plague breaks the spirit of the Egyptian people. Even Pharaoh's son is not spared. Finally, Pharaoh relents. The loss is too great for him to bear. He allows the Israelites to leave Egypt. The long-awaited freedom for the Israelites begins as they embark on their journey out of bondage. The Israelites leave Egypt in haste. They take their belongings and their livestock with them. They follow Moses into the wilderness. Pharaoh, however, has a change of heart. He regrets letting the Israelites go. He gathers his army and pursues them. The Israelites reach the Red Sea. They are trapped between Pharaoh's army and the water. They are terrified. They cry out to Moses. Moses raises his staff. God parts the waters of the sea. A dry path appears. The Israelites walk through the sea on dry ground. The waters form a wall on their right and on their left. When the last Israelite reaches the other side, Moses raises his staff again. The waters collapse. Pharaoh's army is drowned. The Israelites are free at last. The Israelites journey through the wilderness. They face many challenges. They are hungry. They are thirsty. They complain against Moses and Aaron. They doubt God's faithfulness. God provides for their needs. He sends bread from heaven. It is called manna. It appears every morning like dew on the ground. God also provides water from a rock. He guides them with a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. The Israelites journey for 40 years. They are tested and refined in the wilderness. They learn to trust God and to obey His commands. God is teaching them to be His people. He is preparing them for the land He has promised them. God leads the Israelites to Mount Sinai, a place of profound spiritual significance. It is a holy mountain, revered and respected throughout generations. God speaks to Moses from the mountain, delivering messages that would shape the future of His people. He gives him the 10 Commandments inscribed on stone tablets. The 10 Commandments are the foundation of God's covenant with Israel, a set of divine laws to guide their lives. They are a guide for how God's people are to live, ensuring justice, compassion, and faithfulness. God commands Moses to build a tabernacle, a sacred space for worship. The tabernacle is a portable tent designed to move with the Israelites on their journey. It is a visible symbol of God's presence among His people, a constant reminder of His guidance and protection. God's glory fills the tabernacle when it is completed, signifying His approval and presence. The Israelites are filled with awe, witnessing the tangible presence of their God. Exodus is a story of God's faithfulness, a testament to His unwavering commitment to His people. God delivers His people from slavery in Egypt, leading them to freedom and a new beginning. He makes a covenant with them at Mount Sinai, a sacred agreement that binds them together. He promises to be their God, and they promise to be His people, a mutual commitment of love and loyalty. He provides for their needs in the wilderness, offering sustenance and hope. He guides them to the Promised Land, a place of promise and fulfillment. The story of Exodus reminds us that God is always with us, through every trial and triumph. He delivers us from our troubles, offering salvation and peace. He guides us on our journey, lighting our path with His wisdom and love. He makes His presence known to us, a constant source of strength and comfort. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to support further content.